Hello, 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 hello. How are we all doing tonight? It's a gorgeous night tonight. Uh, okay, so just wanted to touch on social media and self obsession. And I would even go as far to say that it's I mean, the internet, social media, it's just so. I think the Surgeon General, uh, which I have to look up who the Surgeon General is because I uh I don't know who it is. The Surgeon General of the United States is the operational head of the United States Public Health Service Commissioned Corps, and thus the leading spokesperson on matters of public health in the Federa. And then it gets cut. Okay. Um. Well, the Vice Admiral is Vivek H. Murthy. Um. But Surgeon General, incumbent Vice Admiral Vivek Murthy. Um. Anyways, okay. We don't need we don't need to get into that. I mean, the Surgeon General has pointed out, I think, within the past, not it was like in the past month, 2 months or something like that. I can't remember exactly when it was, but how impactful social media is to health, mental health. And it is interesting how, I mean, I think the statistics for something like Facebook, Meta, there's over 2 billion daily users. I don't know the exact numbers here. And over 3 billion monthly users. I think there's more than half the world's population that exists on Facebook. So, I mean, as long as someone has a cell phone, access to the internet, they probably have Facebook. And it was an interesting discussion with my dad about uh, third world countries or now being deemed as undeveloped countries because third world country is offensive today. First world versus third world. It's developed versus undeveloped. But even in undeveloped countries where there's a lot more poverty, a lot more homelessness, even more so than like the States. I mean, there's plenty of homelessness everywhere, but in poverty-stricken countries or provinces or places in the world, people still have cell phones. People still have access to the internet to some degree. I mean, I don't know all the stats on any of this, but I mean, if we go off of Facebook users in numbers, so here we go. As of the first quarter As of the first quarter of 2023, Facebook has roughly 2.98 billion monthly active users. Okay, so not quite 3 billion, but I mean that um making it the most used online social network worldwide. The number of Facebook's daily active users, DAU, currently stands at 1.908 billion people. As of the third quarter of 2021, there were around 3.5 billion cumulative monthly users of the company's products worldwide. And I mean, like Facebook, Meta, I mean, it owns Instagram, it owns WhatsApp, it owns Oculus VR, it owns a lot of things. So, yeah, it's a it's it's a giant. It's an absolute giant monstrosity of technology today. So many people utilize Facebook or Meta products. And so the Surgeon General of the US has made it a point several times this year. I don't know about the past, but how negatively impactful it is on mental health. And it's a little ironic. I mean, I still own Facebook. I don't own the app on my phone. I think just for me personally, social media, at the start of this year of 2023, I had decided that I was going to kind of cut all of my fat off of social media. So I got rid of Instagram. I got rid of Snapchat. I got rid of Twitter. I wasn't on Twitter since like February 2019, but I just wanted to get rid of all my social media because I deemed them unnecessary. I felt, what's so weird about something like social media is we, to some weird degree, we don't really truly know what these things are. I mean, it's social media. It's these social technologies that bring people together. That's what they're designed to do. But they're also designed, in every website that exists on the internet, at least to some degree, they are designed to keep you on them for as long as humanly possible. You look at something like TikTok, and I mean, I've had TikTok. I had to get rid of it too, because, I mean, there's not a... You can make an argument that TikTok is very similar to something like YouTube, especially now that YouTube has something like YouTube Shorts, which is basically TikTok on YouTube. And I actually, around, I think at the start of May, it was around May 4th, like, may the force be with you kind of deal. It was around May 4th, the start of May, that I decided I was going to disable YouTube, the YouTube app on my phone, because I realized I was consuming way too much YouTube. And it was unhealthy for me. Social media, I mean, again, at the start of the year, I decided that social media was incredibly unhealthy for me and my use cases. It didn't make much sense. So I kind of got off of it. I wanted to just peel away. And I'll tell you, ever since the start of 2023, it has been immense, the impact getting rid of these things and staying off of social media for my own mental health. And when I think back on it, back to like 2007, 2008, when I first logged on and made an account with MySpace or Facebook, truly, I mean, that was when I was around like 12, 13 years old. That was probably the start of my depression. And I mean, when I think back on my adolescent years, my preteen years, it was probably around that time that I started to accumulate these not so great thoughts, these maybe my depression or depressive episodes. And I think a lot of people are prone to this, and people are in denial of it. I mean, I know I was in denial that social media was like I always knew, because I think back in like 2017, 2018, I took a break from social media for a month, just 1 month, and I realized how alone I was. And it made me really sad that I wasn't on social media during that month, because I was like, oh my God, I'm not connected with my friends. I mean, I, of course, live with my family, minus my brother and his girlfriend, who have since moved out back in September. But that, the point is, I felt really lonely in that time, and it was because of my hunger for social media, because it's out there, it exists, and I felt like I was experiencing FOMO to some sort of degree, which is this fear of missing out. And I mean, a lot of people experience FOMO today in various different ways. One of it being like, I think the most prominent experience of FOMO that young people go through today is not wanting to commit to things because they're worried that something better might come along, like some other social event they might be asked to participate in, and then they will feel bad because, oh well, I already said I was gonna go pick apples with Bob, so I can't. I'm sorry. And you get a lot of people who, in turn, because of FOMO, either one, will not commit to things, or two, will be flaky and back out of things. And now, I'm not saying that, because I mean, I don't know a person who hasn't flaked in some degree, at least within the younger generations. I mean, I've done it, and I want to not do that, because it goes back to the old adage of, you got to be there. You got to be there. If you say you're going to be somewhere, you got to be there. You got to get up and go. You got to be present. You got to be here. And I was watching this video. I think it's by the channel Summit on YouTube with Scott Galloway. And I just discovered Scott Galloway because my mom and my dad are big fans of his. And I mean, from what I understand, he's a economic analyst. But it's just interesting how. Oh, what's up, man? Not Shasper vibes. What's going on, man? Scott Galloway is incredibly educated. He's a professor. I can't remember exactly where. Let me check here quick. Scott Galloway is a professor of marketing at the New York University Stern School of Business, and a public speaker, author, podcast host, and entrepreneur. But yeah, check out Scott Galloway. He's phenomenal. He's really well spoken. His delivery is very dry, but I think he's hilarious. But where was I here? Nothing much, just writing. That's awesome. I'm a shit writer. Writing is so good for the mind, so refreshing. I gotta write more. Actually, I can't remember. It was on YouTube. I can't remember who said it, but it was the facet of writing, of how beneficial it is for one's collective thoughts, and it helps you work out problems. It helps you work out issues, and to get deeper into an issue, or into a thought processes. But yeah, anyway, so social media. It's so powerful, and I think most people don't truly realize how powerful social media is, because it's incredibly addictive. I was obsessed with social media. I remember back when I did use Twitter, I was tweeting out the stupidest things. Whatever 2 cents came to my mind, I would just blurt out. And I mean, that's what Twitter's practically used for. That's how it's designed. It's to share your thoughts with the world. And I mean, whether it be Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, people are gravitated towards these memes and these videos that are they just flow continuously through these feeds on these websites. And they're addictive. They're incredibly powerful, and they draw you in, and next thing you know, you're spending hours. I mean, when I had TikTok, I remember because you're stuck in this algorithm. you spend a certain amount of time on one video, one TikTok or whatever, and it does its voodoo magic algorithm work, and it's like, okay, well, this person really, he's liking this. Show him more of this. Even though if you don't like the video or if you don't share it or anything, you don't comment, by the nature of spending more time on it, or if like you were to keep scrolling, but then you go back to a video, a different TikTok or whatever it might be, that's all within the algorithm too. I don't know exactly how it works, but to some degree, that's how it is. I'm writing songs. Yeah, I'm a shit writer also. Hey man, damn, it's too late. My brain ain't working. I feel that. I feel that heavy. I don't know. I mean, I decided to just jump on because I was like, you know what? Let's talk about social media and how negatively impactful it is, and people won't classify something like YouTube as social media. Some people, I mean, I would like to think most people classify something like YouTube as a social media. In my mind, a social media is where you're brought together in a social environment. I mean, you can like, you can comment, you can dislike, you can subscribe, you can become members of a channel. There's YouTube Premium, which, I mean, people would maybe make a case that, well, actually, funny enough, Netflix, you could at some point within its early days of going online from the mail-in DVDs. Once Netflix went online, I can't remember exactly when that was. Maybe late 2000, maybe late 2000s. But here, I gotta look it up now. I can't type tonight. According to Netflix's own website, Netflix was founded in 1997. Okay. This eventually led to Netflix.com in 1998. Okay, so not even 2000. It was earlier than that. But my whole point with Netflix was within its early days of going live online, Netflix.com, you could like videos, or you could give them ratings, a 1 to 5 star rating, and then you could review it, and you could actually see other people's reviews. And to some degree, I mean, Yelp, Google reviews, to some degree, those are social media. I mean, you're in a space where you can write your opinion, and certainly, maybe this is a bit of a stretch that Netflix at some point was a social media. I can't necessarily call it a social media today because you can't really interact with the other users that are involved or on Netflix anymore. But there was a point in time where you could leave reviews, you could see other people's reviews. I don't know if you could comment on, like, if you can make threads, like within Reddit, for example. Reddit is a social media. I mean, it almost every there's so many websites today that, well, okay, hear me out. This might be a bit of a stretch, but the internet in itself, in its embodiment, is it not a large conglomerate of social media? Is the internet not just social media in its entirety to some degree? I mean, of course, it is information as well. It is news. It is how to stay up to date and all that kind of stuff. But to some degree, could you not make the argument that the internet by itself, in its essence, is social media? It's what created social media. I mean, as far as I understand. But yeah, just food for thought. I don't know. But oh man, I'm spaghetti braid right now too, my man. I'm trying to keep track of my timelines here of what I was. That's another thing, is like just the way that my brain will jump from a point to another and I won't finish something, and I'll have to try to revert back. It's really hard for me because I just feel stupid to jump back to a previous point that I was trying to make, and then I'll lose it. And then, I mean, my mom has always told me and instilled in me that, well, if it's important enough, you'll remember it. It'll come back to you or whatever. But yeah, it's an interesting thing to talk about social media and its impactfulness on everyone, really, truly. I mean, when I go onto Facebook, every single time I visit Facebook, if I read any kind of comment thread, there's always going to be these overtly positive, almost toxic positivity comments because it's trying to combat and balance out the harshly negative comments that exist on, let's say, a positive video. Even negative videos, there's going to be negative and positive comments, but I mean, that's just kind of, I don't know, to some degree, is that the human condition? Is it just that, well, not everyone's having a good day, so they're just, some people are going to say something nice, some people are going to say something not so nice. I don't know. It's very odd. But my point with social media and how negative it is to exist on, I mean, it is so useful. The reason why I still own a Facebook account is because I mean I don't have much of a better reason other than it's a wonderful tool to reconnect with old relationships or old friendships. So, I mean, you can find people from your childhood, from early days, where you may not have spoken for years or decades, but you can reconnect on something like Facebook, which is phenomenal. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing in that use case. But once you expand beyond that and you are engulfed in social media's construct and you're intertwined with the bullshit that exists on social media, it becomes so overwhelming for, I think, the majority of people. I think most people, I mean, this is I'm talking about myself here too, obviously, but I think most people are in denial. They don't want to admit that social media is incredibly unhealthy for them, and they don't want to admit to themselves how much time they're spending on social media. I mean, even something like Discord or Skype, Zoom, even, you could make a case that these technologies are social media because you can like, you can comment, you can dislike, you know, send emojis or whatever. They're tools to connect people, but and I don't know how to describe this, but if you were to take it at its face value for what it is, it being a tool to connect people, the moment you go beyond that, you go deeper into what it really is. It is this conglomerate. It's this space of keeping people almost not necessarily tied down to its floor, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that, but it's incredibly unhealthy is my point. And in turn, what happens with users that are consuming social media and social media content for hours and hours every day of the week, for every day of the month, every week of the month, and you do that over time and it compounds on itself. I mean, you see all these negative things on social media, you see these positive things, and so I mean, you get tied in because of the dopamine hits that you receive from social media. But it's hard because you have to step outside of that dopamine hit to look at it in a in an eagle-eyed view, in a 30,000 feet in the air view, and look down on yourself and your situation and ask yourself truly if this is healthy for you or not. And I would argue for most everyone that is on social media, it's already too much. It's way too much. I even think that you shouldn't be on social media every day. You shouldn't be on it maybe even every week. It should be, and I mean, I'm talking about anecdotal experiences, obviously. This is just what I've experienced myself. And this is what in turn has peeled me away from social media and called upon myself to get rid of these things. And I have juggled within my own use cases if Facebook is really something that I should have. And I could most definitely make an argument that I don't need it. I don't need to have this social media account to reconnect with old friends or family or whatever it might be, because there's other ways to be able to do it. Obviously, Facebook, so many people are on Facebook. I mean, practically half the world is, or if not more. I don't know the raw numbers of like how many users there are. I know there's plenty of bots on Facebook. There's plenty of bots on so many social medias, but I could most definitely make the argument that I don't need Facebook at all. I think a lot of people don't need Facebook, but it is, if you use it as what it's meant for, as a tool to reconnect with people, and as much as you possibly can, try to maintain just that and limit it and not go too deep into it, I think you can somewhat experience a healthy relationship with social media. Now, I mean, it varies. Obviously, it's a person to person, it's an individualistic thing. You kind of have to figure it out yourself. I mean, obviously, I can't just sit here and tell you get off of Facebook right now, even though I'm still on Facebook. I can do that about Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, whatever, TikTok. But like Facebook and YouTube, I'd be a hypocrite for it. And I mean, technically, I am a hypocrite for saying these things because I've owned these accounts at some point in my life. So I'm just trying to describe my own experience with social media and say, hey, you know what? I realize that maybe a lot of my sad thoughts, my depression, my anxiety, it was probably birthed out of social media and the internet. I truly believe that. I mean, me personally, not to get super personal or anything. I've gone through therapy a number of times over my adolescent years up until very recently, within the past year or so. And therapy has helped me a lot, but and dare I say that therapy is not for everyone. I mean, you have to reconcile with yourself that you should do it to some. I don't know how else to describe it. I mean, I'm gonna get canceled now because I'm saying, oh, therapy is not for everyone. But it's true. I mean, there was a point in my life where therapy was not for me, and like right now, I would argue to some degree therapy is not for me. It's not that I'm not going to need or want therapy in the future, but right now, things are looking pretty good, I would say. And it's not to make an argument that you shouldn't be going to therapy while you're up and while you're doing well. I mean, obviously it's still good to work through your thoughts and have a shrink, kind of analyze and be objective about what's going on in your life. But I mean, I would make the argument right now that I'm doing pretty good overall. And my whole point is a lot of my concerns with my sadness, my own turmoil, I think it stems out of social media. It comes from the internet and getting away from it, getting rid of it, and saying no has been immense for me. So I'm just saying that, you know, I welcome you. I invite you. I implore you to think about it, to ask yourself if you really believe that social media is constructive for you rather than destructive. And it's hard. It's really hard because the reality of social media, you get all this dopamine from watching and videos or whatever, looking at stuff, getting likes, getting comments on your own stuff. And this is where I want to talk about the whole self-obsession thing. Now, I myself, when I had more social media, let's say Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, even TikTok, because I would make stupid TikTok videos, and I tried to be one of the pack. I tried to involve myself in the TikTok realm, so to speak, and make the TikTok videos that went viral. And, oh, did you make that? It was really, obviously, I wasn't ballsy enough to do TikTok videos out in public because I think it's super cringy, to be honest. When people just get out their phones and they're just, it's so antisocial, that whole phenomenon. And I know that you can make the argument, well, Hollywood is antisocial when they're filming a movie or a TV show, or you can make that argument certainly, but I don't know. There's something funky. There's something weird, abnormal about TikTok videos or even vlogging, and just having the camera and the microphone or whatever in front of your face, and you're just walking in public spaces and trying to have a conversation with your audience. There's, and I'm not like shaming anyone that does that. I just, in my mind, there's something really antisocial about it, and arguably abnormal. Obviously, it's becoming more and more regular. But anyways, I'm not shitting on people that do it. Do whatever you want. Live and let live. But this whole self-obsession thing, I almost see it as self-prescribed self-obsession. But again, it's denial. So many people are in denial about their own self-obsession or their own narcissism. And I'm not saying that everyone on social media is a narcissist. Don't take it that way. But okay, so a narcissist, just to get the definition on paper here. So, symptoms of narcissistic personality disorder and how severe they can vary. People with the disorder can, 1, have an unreasonably high sense of self-importance and require constant excessive admiration. 2, feel that they deserve privileges and special treatment. 3, expect to be recognized as superior. Okay, well, recognized as superior even. Okay, here we go. Expect to be recognized as superior even without achievements. Make achievements and talents seem bigger than they are. Be preoccupied with fantasies about success, power, brilliance, beauty, or the perfect mate. Believe they are superior to others and can only spend time with or be understood by equally special people. Be critical of and look down on people they feel are not important. Expect special favors and expect other people to do what they want without questioning them. Take advantage of others to get what they want. Have an inability or unwillingness to recognize the needs and feelings of others. Be envious of others and believe others envy them. Behave in an arrogant way, brag a lot, and come across as conceited. Insist on having the best of everything. For instance, the best car or office. So, that was a lot. And certainly, you can have narcissistic traits or values and not be a narcissist. That, but the narcissism that exists because of social media, the self-obsession, the self-importance that one harnesses because they exist on social media is so high today. How can you not? It's a human reaction when you get all these likes, all this attention, all these comments. Whether it be positive or negative, what's so funny about the negativity on social media is people are quick to defend themselves. And I think largely that social media comprises of and creates maybe fragile egos, because people, they see all these lives that, like on Instagram, for example, they see all these beautiful lives that are way better than what they really are. And maybe in some cases there are some lives that are presented on Instagram that are really that perfect. Maybe that is a case for some people, and I can't refute that necessarily because I don't know these people's lives. I don't know what goes on, but largely Instagram is painting a picture perfect life of one's life, and it inflates it inflates the whole problem by itself. If it falls flat on its face, because people, they see this and then they think, oh my God, my life is not like this. I gotta get my life like that. How do I get my life like that? And largely, I think what happens, at least on social media, and especially when you see someone who is well off, wealthy, successful, happy, or beautiful, smart, funny, whatever, they paint this picture perfect life, and many people get so down on themselves because, to some degree, they have this feeling, and maybe they know that it's unreachable. And I'm not saying that people can't become wealthy and successful and harness knowledge and become smart, whatnot, funny, and then live that life. It's just the stark reality of that is the overwhelming majority is never going to experience a wealth like that, because it's just, the income disparity, the wealth disparity that exists in the Western world is growing by the minute. It is ridiculous. Like Scott Galloway in his summit video and speech, I believe it was at a university. I can't remember. I want to say LA, but don't quote me on that. But check out that video. Let me just show you guys it really quick. Scott Galloway. Oh, YouTube.
This week's number, $4,000. That's
no, sorry. So it's this video here. Provocative predictions for the future of tech with NYU marketing professor Scott Galloway. Only 250,000 views. This was 3 weeks ago. Very, very interesting talk. I would advise to check it out, at least dip into it. He's a fantastic speaker, obviously very knowledgeable within his field, and then some, I would say. But where was I going with that? The self-obsession stuff. How are you not going to get pulled in by it to some degree? Social media, and I don't know if this is proven or not. I would be pretty confident in saying that I bet you it could be proven that social media produces self-obsession and narcissism. at a certain point. Like if you were to spend X amount of time on social media, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, TikTok, even whatever it might be, that if you spend enough time on past a certain point, I bet you it skyrockets for most people. I know that I experienced self-obsession when I had things like Snapchat, like taking a selfie of yourself every single day and sending it to your friends is so insane. When I step back and think about that, it's so insane to me. I mean, it's a cool technology. Don't get me wrong. Social media is incredibly cool. It's incredibly cool, but it's damaging for most people when we overuse these things. And that's my argument for social media and the internet. Consequently, it's too powerful. It's more powerful than we want to give it credit for, but it is incredibly powerful. Same with like the news and how negative the news is today, because what the reality is, the news, legacy news media like Fox or CNN, MSNBC, whatever have you, it is it's grabbing your attention by emotional response, and some of the strongest emotional responses come out of negativity. And I mean, this is why social media is powerful as well, is because there's so many people who are negative on social media. And then you get drawn to it and you want to have to respond. You want to defend yourself. You want to defend your friends and family. It's such a interesting thing to look at. I mean, I'm not really on the outside because I still own Facebook, and I spend an incredible amount of time on the internet. But my whole point is that me, myself, and I've realized that social media is incredibly destructive for me past a certain point. And I think I would argue that for most people, it's that way. You become self-obsessed, you become narcissistic to some degree, or it produces more narcissistic traits within you as a person. You think more highly about yourself. You worry more about who you are as a person, and validation. You want attention. And social media creates that. It creates the desire of attention. And I mean, this is why it's so damaging, is because, again, it's dopamine hit. There are a lot of good things maybe that come out of social media and the internet, but there's all these, like, I would say maybe unrecognized and in denial realities of the negatives in social media that people are I mean, again, this is including myself. It took me a long time to kind of sit myself down and really ask myself if this is beneficial for me, if this is good, if it's healthy. And I mean, I could not be more grateful for asking myself these questions and then getting off of most of social media. I mean, I still own Facebook. And if, I have a Reddit account, I don't have it on my phone. The phone is an attention seeker as well. And that's the other thing, is like the phone is so powerful. And, one of the things that Scott Galloway said towards the end of his speech with the summit on YouTube, that, this one, provocative predictions for the future of tech with NYU marketing professor Scott Galloway. Towards the end of that speech, he was making this point, and he was asking the audience, "Are you here? Are you here? Are you present?" And it's such a powerful question, and it's so simple. It's so simple, but when we peel back all the BS and we ask ourselves the most basic, simple, fundamental things, I think more often than not, we conclude that, well, maybe we are not. With our phones, with the internet, with social media, how much when you go out to eat with your friends or your family at a restaurant or whatnot, how many times do you pick out your phone? How many times do you look at your phone? And like I don't know if you guys have seen those phone lock boxes, but like cell phone lock here. Is this well, here images here. Okay, so some of these are just lockers, but like it's basically like this thing here, where you just lock your phone away. Some of them have these timers, which is a interesting design. You set a timer for how long you're going to step away from your phone. You, your friends and family, or whoever you're with, whoever you're socializing with. And like one of my friends from camp had made this, or had asked me about vacation and if I've ever taken a vacation, like a no technology vacation. And I had never even thought about something like that before. And I was like, oh my God, that's such a great idea to go on vacation with your friends or family and then to just have a no technology rule where it could be for a weekend, it could be for a week or a month, what have you. But to take an amount of time where you're just absolutely rid of technology and you're just with people. You're with people that you love and you care for. There's got to be something incredibly powerful about that because we don't experience that today. We just don't. We don't step away from technology, or at least I don't. I mean, I'm in front of a computer screen that is. I got one of the big ass fucking 49-inch ultra wide Samsung monitors, which that comes off as a fucking flex. I do, like Jesus fucking Christ. Okay. I shouldn't have said that. I'm in front of a huge ass monitor and it's probably incredibly unhealthy for me still, but I'm telling you that cutting the fat off of my social media experience and usage has been so incredibly helpful for me. And it's weird. It's almost weird because it was so negatively impactful that I really do believe when I got onto Facebook and MySpace back in 2007, 2008, that was probably the start of my depression. I really, truly believe that. I mean, obviously, everyone goes through their own, their own adolescent years and hormones and whatnot. Your body's changing, your mind's changing, your brain is growing, whatnot. And, you have to figure out all of these things on your own to some degree. I mean, you have to come to certain conclusions by yourself. And it can be a long road. It was a long road for me. I mean, 2007, 2008 was 15 years ago. That is wild. And I'm only coming out of it now, and I feel so, I guess, relieved. I feel light. I feel lighter, so to speak. I don't feel so heavy all the time. I mean, we can talk about this another time, but like the American diet, God, it's so unhealthy. It is so unhealthy. Just all these additives and sugars and shit. Like soda, pop, carbonated beverages. They really just shouldn't exist. They're so bad for you, including the diets or the zeros or whatever. They're just so bad for you on multiple levels, whether it be your teeth or you could get diabetes and whatnot. You're consuming all this sugar. You're gonna get bigger because of it. I mean, that's another discussion for another day. But yeah, I believe that social media and the internet, it's a wonderful and an incredibly powerful tool. But in some aspect, you have to recognize it as a tool. and not something that you go to for dopamine hits necessarily. Not somewhere you go to for arguments, to have online arguments or to spectate online arguments, and to, all of that is just, it's so radically unhealthy, I think, for most people, probably everyone, to be honest. And again, I'm sure it's like past a certain point. If you're on social media a limited amount, you're probably doing a lot better than past a certain point. 1, 2, 3 hours every single day for years upon years. And it's not to say that you're not taking breaks, but how impactful are those breaks? Even if you're taking a month-long break, but then once that month-long break is done, you just go right back on it for 2, 3, 4 hours every day. How impactful is the break if you're just going back to it? But I don't know. That's just my 2 cents there. I'm sure that there's some things that I'm trying to remember here about self-obsession and narcissism, and like social media. I don't know where this started, but the whole I'm the main character of my own story, that bullshit. Oh my God, that is so narcissistic. That is so self-obsessed. That is so selfish. Like if I had to ask myself, what kind of character am I in my own story? I'm a side character. Truly, I am a side character, and I think that most people, they're in denial about it. It's the same thing with social media. You're in denial about where you are in your own social circles, your own life. I mean, not to like purposely shit on myself, but like my brother, Brent, he is the far smarter, funnier, cooler brother. He's younger than me by a couple years. I would do anything for him. I would die for him. And it's imperative to, obviously, when I'm presented with the actual decision on if I have the courage to sacrifice myself, so to speak, for Brent, would I actually be able to do it is another question, of course. I do. There's plenty of things that I'm still working on as a human being. Okay, I'm very flawed. I think many people are. I think no one's fucking perfect, right? But being a coward is something that I'm trying to work through. Trying to be in the face of adversity or whatnot, to stand up tall and to stand your ground. And if that moment was ever presented to me, God forbid, I would hope that I would have the courage to save him. So many people have a person in their life or people in their life that think that way. I think I'm not alone at all by that notion. But that's my whole point, is like, well, if at the end of your life, and maybe I'm just thinking stupid here. I don't know. Okay, I'm thinking out loud. But if at the end of your life you sacrifice for your loved ones, how are you the main character? Is and it's not to say that heroes don't die, but I don't know. I think that whole that whole phrase of I am the main character of my own story is so selfish, so narcissistic. You can't navigate the world like that. It would be so unhealthy for you to do that. And where you're constantly thinking about you and yourself, me. What is it about? And like when we go back to something like hedonism and novelty, it's self-pleasure, it's self-indulgence, it's encapsulating your own obsession with yourself and your life. And I'm telling you, I really think that is not the way to think of your life and yourself. But I don't know. That's it. I think that was the last thing I wanted to make mention of because it just it shit really bothers me hearing that stuff because it's like, when you step back, how can you not see that as selfish? How can you not see that as self-obsessed? But I digress. Okay, I think that's gonna be it for tonight. This is almost an hour long, so apologies for. I know I repeat myself a shit ton, and my thoughts are scrambled, and I tangent in one direction and then in another, and I will try to revert back to something that I was touching on previously, and I know it's really scrambled, just like as not Shasper Vibes was saying, writing. It's incredibly helpful to write out your thoughts and your thought process, what you're thinking, how you think, that kind of thing. And I don't do that enough. I need to start doing that. And I think that writing it and reading it physically, typing it is certainly good too, but I think writing it physically onto paper, I don't know. There's just something so tangible about that. But, anyways, okay, I'm done. All right, thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll catch you later.